Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome to the next normal. I'm your host, Sister Jenna. It's always my delight to spend the evenings with you and to celebrate you, as well as we celebrate ourselves too. I don't know about you, but so many of us are going through some massive transformations. Is anyone out there going through some really intense changes? I mean, the way that you're seeing yourself and the way that you're seeing one another and the way you're showing up in the world. There is one side of our world and relationships where individuals are just at a loss of who they need to be. And there's like this energy of hate and this energy of greed and this energy of insensitivity. And I know that the mass media picks that up massively. It's just evening news. I haven't heard all the information about the Boulder, Colorado shootings, but I just got just a little bit of information on it. And a friend of ours had asked me to write a quotation today to send it in. And so I just felt like, how much more am I going to read about somebody using a weapon to hurt another person, either because of the color of their skin, or it's politically motivated, or economically motivated, or maybe they're just mentally not doing so well? How often are we going to go to bed with those stories and wake up with those stories weighing heavily on our hearts? Are we going to continue to make this the norm? What is the solution, everyone? Did you remember a few years ago when that young man went into the black church and killed over 50 parishioners in that church? And then shortly after, the pastor had actually said, "We forgive him." And the parishioners also said, "We forgive him. He knows not what he did." How many of you are able to really have that level of forgiveness weaving in every part of your being? I mean, there are certain situations that I've seen within my own life that I've had to intellectually push myself to say the right thing here for me to do is to love that person as I would love a baby. And when I find myself in that situation, I'm usually I usually don't feel so good about myself, because I say, why is it taking you a few seconds or a minute or two to assess your consciousness, your feelings, in order for you to remember that you're God's child? You know, that recording of, all your recording of loss and trauma and guilt and shame, it gets recorded in you. And we've come from cultures, the Indian culture, the Asian culture, old cultures. We don't talk about feelings. We don't really let you know what we're going through. But aren't you glad for these days that we can now reveal our vulnerability? Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had an interview with Oprah. Again, I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. I'm such a bore. One is maybe I don't have time, but two, I don't really have a lot of interest in any of those things. But again, my updates on Twitter, which are not valid all the time. I don't believe I can put together the world issues, aches, and victories in a matter of 200 characters. I don't think it's possible, but it's so unnatural for a member of the royal family to air their personal personal lives. It's just something that you don't. Even in my spiritual tradition, I was one of the few instruments that would be so authentic and would reveal publicly or privately, I'm not feeling so well today. Can I get your support? I remembered when I first did that, everyone thought like what was wrong with her, and I thought, what do you mean what's wrong with me? I'm being truthful. Nothing is wrong when you're being authentic. But I think we've got so much relearning to do. We've got so much relearning to do. Learning how to let go and how to value what really needs to be valued. Learning how to humble yourself when you know that you are not in the right. We're relearning how to observe that there isn't resistance in my decisions, but there's only respect and love in my decisions. It's such a big thing. And we are being given an opportunity to our humanity to trust again. When I was transferred here, I have to tell you the story, 23 years ago. I'm sitting in Global Harmony House in meditation from 7 to 7:30. Sister Mohini, who's the president of the Brahma Kumaris station for the regional office, called me down. It's 20-something years ago, And she said, tomorrow you'll go to Washington? And I said, okay. She says, are you okay with that? I said, once you have faith in me, I'm fine. The next morning I was packed with one suitcase. I was on a bus and I went to Washington, D.C. and some building that I was told to go to, which I had not known. It was an abandoned warehouse with homeless and drug addicts on the steps and in the building. We had not known. And when I went to that space, and I remembered taking my little luggage up, and the place had no air condition. And I went into the apartment of the woman who had invited us to come and do service. There was no air condition, there was no fan, there was no telephone. And I remembered sitting in that space with nothing in my heart, nothing about why or how. It was more like, okay, now this is what we need to do. I remembered cleaning that place from top to bottom, bringing God's energy and God's light in every corner of that place. I remember my little table, my bed was this little old table and this little, I don't know, it wasn't like a rug, it was some fur thing she had. And it was in August and it was so hot. I sat in prayer and meditation and I said, I know everything will be just fine, things will work out. The next day, somebody donated a fridge to her. She's never had a donation. And then the same day, somehow, I was able to go into the phone line and play with the wires, and we got a phone. Those days, we didn't have cell phones. It was so unusual. It was such a powerful time, and I felt like I was being led by love. And I was understanding the path of absolute faith and conviction and humility and service. That it had nothing to do with me, but it had to do with the call and the service that I was being invited into. So with my determination of thought and intention, I found a place on Georgia Avenue. We relocated. The owner there was wonderful. We stayed for a little bit over 10 years until he also sold that building. And then I was on the hunt. And then after the hunt, we found this place in McLean, Virginia. We opened up and registered our space here. And this place got sold. And then I went on another hunt. And then I found this couple, Wei and Wen Jiao, and I hope I pronounced their names right. I think it was that moment that we kind of looked at each other soul to soul, and we knew that this encounter wasn't going to be an ordinary one. There's certain things that you just know. You don't have the details, and sometimes you just don't need them. But I believe because of that energy of love, that love is guiding the way. And even if things are difficult and maybe not really the way you think they should be, I don't know, you always end up with love. And it somehow has a way of just ironing everything out. I'm telling you the story because we are in a need to embrace each other and embrace forgiveness in our lives, because things happen. People do things without thinking it through. Young boys or girls, they take their lives without thinking it through. It's one of the hardest things I've witnessed. There are individuals who maybe thought too much, that they found themselves living in a pathway of thinking that has them unclear, confused. Their behavior and their decisions aren't normal, what we folks would call normal, but what they think is fine. They enter down a road of thinking and they get trapped in that road and they don't know how to get out. Something happened. Somebody gave sorrow. Somebody gave pain, or they gave pain, or they gave sorrow, or maybe there was abuse, abandonment, loss. Whatever it was, the soul just wasn't able to embrace what happened to it and find a way to forgive either the oppressor or to forgive themselves. How does America heal from its violence, especially this gun violence? Today I did a pre-recording with Manu Adhikari, who is a refugee survivor. And as I sat here and I interviewed Manu about her life as a refugee, she's now a meditation instrument and a beautiful spirit that's doing a lot of service for the world. And when I was interviewing her about what it was like living in a refugee camp, the conversation was, what is it with leaders who feel that a certain group or society of people isn't that important, and that their political position, their financial position is more important than the lives of their citizens? How do you forgive leaders who are responsible for the bombing and the killing of your family? Just a few decades ago alone, we had a world leader called Adolf Hitler. Has every person in the Judaic culture forgiven that man for the horrors he imparted in the minds of his supporters and the horror he imparted on the Jewish people? And sometimes when I think of him, I ask myself, can I forgive someone like that? And in my heart, I find myself saying, I don't even know if I know, if I don't even know if it's even about forgiveness. It's almost as if you reach a point, the sin is so big that you have to almost concede and think to yourself, maybe it was preordained, predestined to play such a role in history. And if he was preordained to play such a role in history, what have we learned as a civilization. We just came out of a very tumultuous leadership in the United States of America, where things were always so jarring for the spirit. You never knew what you were going to hear. And now that we have a new administration that comes in with forgiveness, with compassion, with respect, with warmth, with inclusivity, with diversity, it's like nobody knows what to do. Everyone had become so used to being shaken up every day. Do we know what our souls would feel like if we embraced forgiveness? Let's take a watch of Sister Jenna's video on this topic, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about it.
When I allow my heart to be generous, then in that generosity of spirit, I can let go and forgive and be able to find the freedom that I've always wanted. Let's experiment with a few minutes of meditation on the subject of forgiveness. Going on that inner journey, many thoughts come my way. And I don't pause to look at all the things that are distracting me. I stay on the course of going deeper and deeper inside. I find memories, photographs that are imprinted on my mind. But not only the scenes, different memories come and they stir different feelings within the soul. I ask myself, what are the feelings I want to nurture and support? Feelings of pain, of suffering, or the feelings of love and joy? I know what I want, and so I decide I want to finish the memories of the pain and sorrow. So why am I holding on to those? I realize I haven't been able to forgive those who caused me pain and sorrow. I still hold them responsible. I haven't been able to do anything about it on an external level, but I still blame them and carry those feelings of being a victim. But now I come to a decision. I want to be able to let go of sorrow. And I can only do that if I take the power of love from God and allow my heart to be open and generous. And in that generosity of spirit, I let go. I let go of the thought of being a victim. I've learned lessons from the past. I hold those lessons. But now I want space. I want freedom. And I bid farewell to the oppressor and the situation. And with the power of love, not only forgive, but also put a full stop. I let go. I forget. I hold a memory of truth, a memory of beauty, of joy. I have the power to choose my memories. I close the chapter of sorrow and hold the memories of joy. A burden has shifted. I feel free and light. The road ahead is open. I can move as swiftly as I choose, now that I am free. Om Shanti.
Let us take some time and send our well wishes and peace to the families in Boulder, Colorado. I think as we navigate as a community in this country together, we will have to find a way to expand our hearts. As I was saying before we went into meditation, what forgiveness does, it definitely makes us fly, it makes us lighter. And sometimes we turn to leadership and we ask ourselves, haven't we learned after so many centuries of horrifying history? There's always somebody that's fighting for power, for more, for money, for greed. And they will do nothing to hurt another child of God. And I think there's so many young boys and girls out there who are hurting themselves because they feel there's no hope in the world. And I'm inviting everyone tonight, be the hope for the future of our humanity. Be that one, be that person with an honest mind that you're able to find simple solutions, To be quite frank, nothing is really complicated. It only gets complicated because someone wants something out of it. Someone has a motive. Someone wants to take advantage of somebody. Somebody wants to hurt somebody. That's the only reason why solutions seem complicated, but they're not complicated. And the moment we embrace forgiveness, we're not only coming from a place of humility, but we're coming from a place of our godliness. And we're setting an example. We're setting a massive example. So let this be the night that you turn inwards and you think about, what is it that you're still holding on to that's a pain somewhere? And if you listen with honesty, and if you listen in deep stillness, you will see it. You will see that every time you think of that person, there's a pressure in your heart, there's a resistance, there's the memory of the sorrow that you went through with the person. And when you get into that place, that's when you sit with love next to you and you look that scene in the eye and you say, it's okay now. We're done. We're done here. I forgive you. I can let you go. Another method that you can practice is to write on a piece of paper 108 times, I forgive myself for receiving the sorrow. I forgive this one for giving the sorrow. 108 times, whatever their name is, or whatever their names are. I forgive myself for receiving sorrow, for taking it. I forgive them for giving it. And each time you write that line down, observe how your subtle energy feels inside of the soul, as if something is getting released. There are over 80 million displaced people, refugees, because leaders made a decision and said they're not important. They don't go the way that we want to. And those souls carry that memory of picking up their family and their belongings to trek for hours across the land to find safe haven. And who do they blame? And they have to find the power to forgive. We have to forgive our spouses, have to forgive our children. We have to forgive nature. Why? Because we're actually here to love one another and love one another the same. So let your embracing of forgiveness be all about your experiment, your practice, your enthusiasm to observe, how much can I love? How much really can I love? I think that's such a big thing for us to really explore. I really do. It's even my own personal assignment many, many years ago. My practice is to apply loving everybody the same, where I don't have preferences, but I just love everyone the same. And I haven't mastered it, but I'm definitely going to. No matter what, I will master love. At the end of my journey, no matter what I have to go through, I'll get there. I'll get there. All right, so let's see who's out there in the tribal world. I have this cold or the allergies. Everything is coming up with me lately. Had an awful doctor's appointment yesterday. It was awful. Anyway, so listen. Denise, Om Shanti. Kailash, Om Shanti. Queen, Rising. Bryn, how are you? How are your studies coming along? Please tell me. I know you've put yourself back in med school. Stay focused, yeah? We have a lot of hope in you. Don't come off course there. Jennifer Scotland, Om Shanti. Hello to you and your sister. Susanna, nice to have you. Welcome. Ranju, Louise, of course, you know how authentic we are. Maybe you've known us the longest on this tribal link. And yes, it's been refreshing to be with somebody that just speaks truth to power and isn't afraid of being judged. I tell you this, you live your life for the confirmation of people and you will never live at all. Live from this place of knowing that you've given yourself to God and you're going to do your best to represent Him at all cost. Sometimes you're going to be perfect and sometimes you're not. And that's your opportunity to become humble and practice forgiveness too. So it's a big, big journey. Devyani, Om Shanti. How's my little angel? It's been a long time. I hope your studies and everything's going well. So keep it up, okay? Samantha, Om Shanti. Aditi, our little superstar. Did you see how Wen and Wei remembered you, Aditi, when you met with them yesterday? And just everyone's fragrance. I mean, Aditi, your fragrance of purity is a blessing to the planet. And I can't wait to continue all the good things that you will do. By the way, Aditi's like my adopted daughter. And if you haven't got a copy of her book that she published a little bit over a year ago called Playing with Cancer at 13, you can find it on Amazon. Aditi Goel. Please get a copy of her book and support it, and feel free to leave a comment. That's one little courageous tiger, little Aditi Goel, and she will continue to be a little courageous tiger. Nikhil Kumar Joshi, Tarika, nice to have you. Induben, very warm to have all of you on tonight. So thank you all for joining us on the next normal, and I will see you all tomorrow. Lots of love and peace and blessings to each and every one of you from the depths of our beings. May you be the powerful one who has the capacity to forgive and not wait for something in return. Just keep giving. Good night. Take care. Start your day off with a smile. The Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museums are still closed due to the pandemic. And since the lockdown, we have enjoyed meeting you on YouTube and Facebook. The next normal with Sister Jenna has been our way of staying connected. The show offers answers to everyday life challenges, meditations, conversations with guests, and moments of laughter. It is your pause to reconnect, elevate, and understand better your purpose for being here. Monday meditations will take you into deep stillness, away from the noise, with a special feature titled Drishti, seeing into the being. The rest of the days will offer you food for thought, and Positive Fridays will inspire you and leave you wanting more. Thank you all for the support that you have given us over the years, and we wish you and your loved ones health, wealth, and happiness. Remember to subscribe and click the bell button to stay connected. All the very best once again, and we hope to see you soon.